Welcome to the reading of the Sabbath School lesson for the second quarter of 2022. Welcome to Lesson 3 in the series on Genesis. It's titled Cain and His Legacy, ready for teaching on April 16, and my name's Percy Harrold. Tuesday, April 12, the crime. Read Genesis chapter 4, verses 3 through to 8. What is the process that led Cain to kill his brother? Also, read 1 John chapter 3, verse 12. Genesis 4, beginning at verse 3, And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering, and Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. Now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and killed him. And 1 John chapter 3, verse 12, Not as Cain, who was of the wicked one, and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his works were evil, and his brother's righteous. Cain's reaction is twofold. Verse 5 says, Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. Cain's anger was directed, it appears, at both God and at Abel. Cain was angry with God because he thought that he was the victim of an injustice, and angry with Abel because he was jealous of his brother. Jealous of what? Just the offering? Certainly, more was going on behind the scenes than what is revealed in these few texts. Whatever the issues, Cain was depressed because his offering had not been accepted. God's two questions in Genesis 4 verse 6 are related to Cain's two conditions. Note that God does not accuse Cain. As with Adam, God asks questions not because he doesn't know the answers, but because he wants Cain to look at himself and then understand the reason for his own condition. As always, the Lord seeks to redeem his fallen people, even when they openly fail him. Then, after asking these questions, God counsels Cain. First, God urges Cain to do well, to behave the right way. It is a call for repentance and a change of attitude. God promises Cain that he will be accepted and forgiven. In a sense, he is saying that Cain can have acceptance with God, but it must be done on God's terms, not Cain's. On the other hand, verse 7 reads, If you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. God's counsel has revealed the root of sin, and it is found in Cain himself. Here again, God is counseling Cain, seeking to guide him in the way he should go. God's second word of counsel concerns the attitude to take toward this sin which lies at the door and whose desire is for you. God recommends self-control. You shall rule over it. The same principle resonates in James when he explains in James 1:14 that each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. The gospel offers us the promise not only of the forgiveness of sin, but also victory over it, as we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. In the end, Cain had no one to blame for his sin but himself. Isn't it generally that way with all of us as well? And to finish the day, What does this unfortunate story teach us about free will and how God will not force us to obey? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind, and It Is Written. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. Remember, God is always faithful.